that there's an appetite for us to do more and more of these types of sessions to help you learn from one another and give us an opportunity to learn from you as well. Before we jump into the session, I guess I'd just quickly introduce myself. My name's Martin Hill. I'm the Vice President for ServiceNow's Customer Acceleration Group, which sits within the Global Learning and Development Organization. My team, so the Customer Acceleration Group, is 100% committed to driving customer success with the ServiceNow AI platform for customers. But that combined with, the effective technology combined with a strong talent strategy at the same time. So we spend a lot of time working with customers, building out training strategies and ensuring that customers are executing on those plans and ultimately are maximizing the success of the platform. Another part of what we do is we evangelize to the market the value of really what ServiceNow University delivers to the ecosystem. So if you haven't already started talking to one of our ServiceNow University consultants, and I've seen a few of them in the waiting room already in the chat, do make sure that you connect with us. We'd love to hear and spend time with you if you want to have some more hands-on support around skilling and talent strategies for your organizations, particularly in the realms of ServiceNow University. So enough about me. Very privileged today to introduce our guest speaker, Jerry Wong, from the University of Birmingham. Jerry, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. Thanks, Martin, and thank you, Haley, for organising this. So, hi everyone. I'm Jerry Wong. So I obviously work at University of Birmingham. Been working at this organisation for just over a year now, and I've been working in the higher education sector just for over 19 years. So very much in the service management space within obviously IT services. But also, it's a really exciting time that, I've joined it, that because the university's got quite a strong ambition to use technology to make work easier across the organization. And also my role at the university is looking how we adopt and grow with the ServiceNow platform. And what I really want to do today is really kind of share our journey on how we've used the platform to basically streamline work and really how we've seen kind of the real benefits and the wins for our teams and also basically share some of the lessons learned along the way. I also kind of touch on how we're going to be starting to use AI within the platform, and also kind of the importance on how we need to kind of think about how we're going to build the right skills, so that our teams will feel confident and really kind of look how we can unlock the value of the ServiceNow platform and how we can utilize and maximize those benefits. And hopefully by the end of this session, you're going to get a sense of kind of what's working for us, and there are going to be challenges. Things are going to be challenged on the platform. Is how we manage and navigate that, but also how we're going to be able to basically encourage people within the organization to be kind of advocates as well, showing the business what's possible, and also what we can do with the platform. So just a bit, obviously that's a bit about background of how I work at University of Birmingham. But in terms of my personal background, I think at the age of 9 I started to work at my parents' restaurant. Started working in the kitchen, serving customers, and really kind of learning how my parents do their family business. So I learned so much skills in when I was very young, but also I was very much interested in technology. So I think my first computer that I had was like a Commodore 64, and then also that got myself in. I was very much as a gamer when I was very little, and that's really kind of where I really enjoyed IT, but I really wanted to support IT as well, because obviously my background in customer service, I spoke to quite a lot of people when I was working in the restaurant. So I actually worked in a call center for a company called PC Service Corps, which their consumers bought PCs, and I would be on the end, providing support. And I think back then we didn't really have remote support, and it was very much ISDN, or I suppose if you're young to remember the 56K modem side of things. So it's very much of learning how to speak to people on the phone, articulate how to support them. So as I mentioned, I've worked in the HE sector for over 19 years. I started my first role in obviously as you know as a call center, but then I moved into the higher education sector. Obviously, back to the university I studied at, and I was a IT service desk analyst. Worked my way up to begin with team leader, manager, really kind of experienced around that service management space. And also just understanding our customers, really kind of speaking to the business and, again, as an analyst, you'd be bridging across from the business to IT. Um, and then also then having different roles around, getting involved in the ServiceNow platform. So I was a ServiceNow admin, a bit of a developer, platform owner, also now product owner. And then also within the wider space of the ServiceNow community, I'm also part of the ServiceNow higher education community. And also previously in 2024, I was a ServiceNow Rising Star. And then this year, I just got obviously the most valued professional recognition as well of 2025. So again, it's really, really beneficial from a networking perspective as well.
Fantastic. I think we can safely say that Jerry is a bit of a legend when it comes to the ServiceNow background. So thanks, Jerry, for taking us through all of that. The fact that you've gone from admin to platform owner and now product owner makes you kind of our perfect subject matter expert in this case. And I know that our team's connecting with you as well around the skilling piece of this also. So really happy to have you on here. Fun fact, I worked at the Dixon Group years and years and years ago. My very first Saturday job working for the same retail company that Jerry just mentioned there. So awesome. Okay, listen, we've got quite a lot to get through. Now that we've ascertained Jerry's expertise, I've got a few questions for you. We want to try and get through as much information and background about how Birmingham University uses the AI platform, ServiceNow AI platform. We want to focus a little bit, obviously, around skilling and training plans and how that's worked for you and what else we can do to support. But ultimately, I want to leave us enough time to have questions from everybody on the call. The one thing that I will say to folks on the call is this is a series. We want to be doing more of these. And if you feel that your organization has a compelling story or you have a different perspective of ServiceNow or you want to talk specifically around skilling, please reach out to us. We'd love to capture more opportunities to run these sessions on a month-by-month basis. So yeah, enough of that. I won't plug it anymore. Now, Hayley, the next slide is actually a question for the attendees. I'm hoping that the technology is in place for us to do this. But folks, we just wanted to make sure that everyone's here and everyone's awake. So a very quick poll question for you just around we decided to make it about AI. How's everybody feeling about AI? How comfortable and confident are you around using AI tools? Just to get your thoughts out there and try and get some interaction into the session.
The poll answers are coming in through right now. 10%, not at all comfortable. Slightly
Wow.
comfortable, we're getting at 35, moderately 32.
Okay.
Extremely comfortable is at 6%.
Yeah, not overly confident yet then. Okay, fantastic. Shall we close the poll there?
Yes, I'll close that right now.
Great. Thanks for that, Hayley. Good. Well, folks, thanks for oh, I can see the results popping up on the screen. Hopefully everyone else can see that too. So yeah, a good mix. There's some comfort, but not, completely. I think that's fair. For those of you that are not aware, there's a couple of studies out there that I recommend for you. And today we are going to talk about University of Birmingham, but I just wanted to make you aware of some industry reports out there that will help you around your comfort with AI and in particular tasks and talent in relation to AI. So if you haven't seen already from the World Economic Forum, the Future of Jobs survey, which actually they published in Q1 of this year, is excellent. It really talks about how the demand for machine learning and AI skills is growing, and that it is something that employers and particularly CHROs and chief learning officers are really starting to have to plan around how they're going to add more knowledge around machine learning, big data, and AI in general. It's a very concise report. There's over 1,000 employers representing 14 million workers around the world. So really interesting report. And then another one for those that haven't seen this from ServiceNow. We actually published this only about 3 weeks ago, which is a future workforce skills forecast. So it actually maps across 10 different countries and 9 different industries and multiple different technology roles, how AI is going to impact the demands and the roles that those individuals will be performing in the next 5 years. So it actually helps you to plan on how emerging technology and AI in particular will start to take on some of the tasks that your employees are already fulfilling today. And that allows you to start planning on how you want to use their free time to learn new skills and actually move into future ready roles. So if you stay to the end of the session, we're going to give you a QR code that gives you access to this report. It's all free. We just want to make sure that everyone has access to it. And again, we'll make sure that we leave up our contact details for those of you that want to have a conversation about it. There's a lot of great data in there. We just want to make sure that everyone gets to see it. Okay, I won't plug that any longer. I'm going to go revert directly back to you, Jerry. Why don't you take a few moments to tell us a little bit more about the University of Birmingham?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Martin. So I suppose for anyone that's not familiar with the University of Birmingham, I just want to mention it's one of the UK leading research universities, and it's obviously a founding member of the Russell Group. So there are a total of 24 universities in the Russell Group. So I'll just name a few of them. For example, Oxford, Cambridge, it's also Imperial College and University of Manchester. And the university was founded in the 1900s, and we were the first civic university in England to receive a Royal Charter. We have more than 8,000 staff, 38,000 students, and then also 300,000 alumni across the globe. That's obviously part of the University Birmingham's community. Also, some of the accolades that University of Birmingham's have, obviously, they're in the top 20 of the Times of Sunday Times Good University Guide 2026. So we're ranking 16th. And then recently we've been named Highly Commended University of the Year. So some of the accolades there. And then also this year we've celebrated our 125th anniversary. So it was a really big celebration. We had a concert as well on one of the what we call the Green Heart of the university. So that was we went there. I took my family there. It was a really, really good celebration. And again, University of Birmingham, we sit amongst the best performing research intensive universities in the world. So obviously, part of our QS World University ranking for 2026, we're ranked at 76. And then also climbing in the 2025, the World University Rankings, we sit 93rd globally. So the picture that you're seeing, which is one of our campuses in Edgbaston in University in Birmingham, obviously. Birmingham is the second largest city in the UK, and we also have a campus in Dubai as well. But also you see right in the middle of that picture, we're quite famous for our own clock tower. So the old clock tower name we've given a name is Old Joe, but it's actually one of the tallest freestanding clock towers in the world.
And not in Venice, as we discussed on our previous call. It's very similar
No,
to
not
the
in Venice. No,
Square.
no.
Yeah, but
Well,
it is
I
gorgeous.
think looking at some comments in the chat, obviously, yeah, it's a stunning campus. I think Ben, you
Yeah.
mentioned. So if you ever have an opportunity, if you do want to visit University of Birmingham, give me a shout. Other people have already given me a shout. I've given a bit of like a campus tour as well around the university. So just
Fantastic.
shout me out.
That's great. Thanks for the background, Jerry. And there's a lot of history there, which is really lovely to see. So let's talk about the technology side of it. So how does the university really leverage the ServiceNow platform today, and what's the impact, the benefits that you've seen from that?
It's a great question, Martin. I think in my late slides, I've got I think you put it on now, but yeah, basically you can see in terms of the journey that since 2009, and University of Birmingham was a early adopter for ServiceNow. We were one of the first universities to adopt ServiceNow.
Mm.
Obviously, if you think about back in 2009, there, obviously we implemented the IT service management space. I mean, back then we didn't really have much of the out of the box capability that we can see now. So, for example, like the customer service management, field service management. So the things that where you can see at the very bottom, we've got in white scope application, the things that we've had to, custom developed ourselves. So in terms of our journey, obviously we started off with IT services, really kind of looking around our own, IT service management. So, targeting on, the basic IT service management process like incident management, change management, the service request management, problem management. So, utilizing all those capabilities to be able to streamline some of those processes together. And then once we've done that in 2012, the academic services, so our audio and visual kind of support. So again, these are the teams that support the university's computers for, obviously they're delivering lectures. And if there's a problem with those devices, they are the team that goes out and supports. So again, we created a portal for them, and obviously back end of the the case management and also booking system. So if someone wants to book out a lecture room or a classroom, they would go and set those up to make sure that again for a teaching and learning perspective that they're ready to go. In 2017, we deployed that to our HR services. As you know, that it says legacy HR. Legacy HR, it was obviously something that ServiceNow had, which we deployed, and HR were using that to, again, streamline some of their HR service management across from, again, if people wanted to find out about well-being issues around more of the HR services, then they can submit that and obviously do it, self-service as well. 2020 WorkLink. So this is a department within the university that provides, I suppose, like job vacancies. So within the university, there might be some job opportunities, or people want to get some jobs within the university. So WorkLink was set up for students to be able to actually go onto the portal and obviously apply for a job, or maybe also just to get support as well. So whilst they're working for within a vacancy, they might want to get some support, so they use that particular system. So again, very much of the teams utilizing rather than having a mailbox or someone walking in to write on a post-it note or things like that. 2021 digital education team, we obviously part of our learning management system, we've got Canvas. So we've done some integration with Canvas. So we have something called Canvas Admin. Again, that is to do things like lecturers can go in and create courses, manage their courses, or remove courses, and also have some of the reporting capabilities in the back end to support them. Then we move on to 2021 at the same time, finance. So again, finance, our department wanted to also get onto ServiceNow again to streamline some of their finance operations, procurement. So again, they might have come again from maybe a mailbox where people put their inquiries through. So again, we've developed a portal with a number of the services, categories, a catalog for them just to raise a ticket, and then also introducing things like the knowledge base for them to be able to self-serve as well. The registry department, so we have something called a thesis processing system. So another application we developed for them for students to be able to submit their thesis. So their teams kind of just process those applications in the back end. Student living, which is our student accommodation team. So if we've got any students that are living at the University of Birmingham campus, would again contact their team for any support whilst they're obviously accommodating at the university. Then moving on to legal services, they are currently using that for some legal service queries, for example, like the Freedom of Information Act. So again, they would normally process that all within ServiceNow. Just to keep track of, again, because there's legislation and deadlines that they need to meet. So again, ServiceNow helps accommodate that with the service level agreements. Then we move down to 2024, which is our external relations team that really kind of manages more of the website and media requests. So internally, teams can go in and say, "Oh, I just need a change on a website that the university has." So again, goes to the relevant team. So depending on, let's say, where they are located within each department,
Mm.
again, some of those workflows would workflow to those particular teams to be able to manage those changes. 2024, again, we mentioned HR service again. We moved them off the legacy HR because it was no longer supported. And we moved them, obviously implemented more out of the box onto our HR service delivery standard. So that was a really good success around, if you think about legacy HR, there was again, things weren't I suppose, things weren't updated or modernized, and we probably had a bit of a legacy debt. So that gave us a bit of an
Mm.
opportunity to be able to say, right, let's get more out of the box. And again, just consolidate in terms of what they had around their processes and leveraging that capability. And then moving on to health and safety in 2024, we utilized the ServiceNow Store app. So there's a obviously partner called Serenity. This was around their health and safety app. So again, we worked with them to basically implement a health and safety solution within ServiceNow that's linked directly to HR services. And then recently, 2025, I obviously IT operations management or ITOM or HAM, hardware asset management,
Asset
and then
management. Yeah.
SAM, software asset management. Just so I'm reading it out, not having the acronyms. So this is something that we've just recently implemented very much early on our journey around more of the IT asset management side. So again, we're able to, again, have visibility of our assets, and having some of the life cycle of obviously asset management from, that cradle to grave type of scenario to understand where our devices are. And then in development at the moment is our campus services. So we're developing obviously a solution for our community and safety team. So these are our, I would say, more of a protection officer. So if you're at the University of Birmingham on the campus, if there's anything, let's say you're reporting a theft or an assault, these are the people that we would report, and they would use that system to manage those queries.
Fantastic. That's a really concise way of sort of showing the history of how the university has been partnering with ServiceNow throughout. A quick question on that site. How big is the team, that it's working and connecting on the ServiceNow platform?
So I'll just give an explanation of the structure that we have at the university. Obviously, me as the product owner, I work alongside with our ServiceNow developers, and we've got a team of five at the moment. So these
Mhm.
are internal ServiceNow developers, and then also we've got an agile delivery manager that supports the overall kind of agile delivery methods of how we deliver, because obviously we work in a very agile way of working. So we use like a Kanban board, and we also work in sprints. We also have, let's say, across the university, obviously, as I mentioned, HR and IT, we do have people in those teams that are, I would class them probably as citizen developers. So they are
Yeah.
the people that are more specializing in their own processes,
Yeah.
that they would have the relevant access to be able to, again, they could create their own forms, they could create their own workflows and notifications. So it takes that pressure off, our
Mm.
team. We want to be able to focus more on, I suppose, more of the complex development, and again, looking at the newer things coming in to say, right, how can we start to maximize the value? And again, my job as a product owner, again, I think it was a question I think John asked very early on the Q&A, what's the difference between a platform owner and a product owner? I mean, a product owner for me is going out to the business and looking at opportunities where we can maximize the value within the organization, obviously utilizing the ServiceNow platform. So again, really kind of understanding, what are those key, business pain points. But for me as well, I've got a really, wonderful job because I've got a holistic view of the overall organization, because obviously looking after ServiceNow, as you saw on the previous slide, we were touching so many points of the different departments. I have a really good understanding in terms of, right, how do we start to link things together? Because I'm sure many of you on the call that you've worked in organizations, it can be quite a siloed way. You might have siloed teams working with siloed processes, and it just depends on the maturity of your organization. And again, these are real challenges. I don't think any organization is perfect around to say, yep, we're we're going to be joining all the dots together. So
Mm,
that is, that's an everyday challenge. But that's really good because it really kind of gives us opportunity to have those discussions as well to see, right, okay, we've got this problem here. How can we start to understand, okay, is it just a problem in this area, or is it a problem for different areas, or maybe the wider organization, that we can really kind of have those honest conversations of how we can start to leverage some of the capability within the platform. And I've had many of these discussions already, and I think it's really, really positive. And again, within your organization, to have those conversations, because I think once you start opening up people's mindsets around, because sometimes they don't know what ServiceNow can do,
yeah,
and
quite agree.
I always keep hearing when people say, ServiceNow, oh, it's just a ticketing tool, it's a help desk, IT help desk tool. No, it's
It's a
much.
bit more than that now.
It's
Yeah,
yes, it's much more than that. Because
yes,
again, you've got the capability around the workflows, the automation, but again, like you mentioned, Martin, ServiceNow is such a big platform. There's so much capabilities on there. We
yeah,
need to be able to identify, what's the right capabilities at the right time for the organization's journey. Because
yes,
sometimes within an organization, they're on a different stage of that journey. So again, it depends on your processes as well. So for me, you've got that people, process, and technology.
mm,
People and process for me, that's the foundational things, and the platform really should be enhancing those processes to really kind of
yeah,
make it more better with automation, with efficiency. So that's kind of really what my mantra is when I'm in my role and when I'm having those conversations with the business.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I
and
think, I
then
mean,
yeah.
you've go on. I'll let you finish because you've kind of stolen my next question. You're on to the next subject already, but it's a good segue. But I'll
No,
let you
ask
finish.
the question, Martin, if that's okay.
Well, actually, I mean, I wanted to touch on a couple of things that you said. I want to talk about the processes and the people skills and the development next. But there was a couple of things that you said there which I thought were really interesting. Process users in particular, you say those heads of departments that are doing, using the tools, using the products that you're putting onto the core platform. From a ServiceNow University perspective, a huge part of the work that we do is enabling those process users. So
Hmm.
not necessarily the technical deployment team or the coders, it's the people that are using the platform every day, but they're
Yeah.
not the techies that are ingrained in, the IT infrastructure side of things. So that's definitely a conversation that I'd love us to follow up with you to see how we can get in front of those individuals and make sure that they have the enablement that they need to make sure that they're maximizing the success as well.
Martin, you're
It's a
absolutely right. I
huge
mean,
part of
yeah.
huge part of what ServiceNow University is about. It's not just the core tech workers now. It's the
No, it's not. I mean, it's also
enterprise-wide enablement.
it's adoption as well, Martin. If you
Completely.
talk about the technology that we have, it's not about
Mm,
just deploying it and then leaving it there for people to use. For me, it's
quite right.
about co-creating that value. It's about,
Yes.
okay, well, we've deployed. So the ways that we work, the agile way of working,
Mm,
you kind of tend to see very much, let's say, a waterfall, old-fashioned project management where you've got this
mm,
big requirement, it gets released, and then you hand it over to the business. It goes into your normal standard service operations, and that's it. It gets left alone, right?
yeah.
Whereas the
Yeah.
way we work with the business to say, right, if we're working, let's say we developed a solution or we've deployed HR, we work with those business stakeholders and really can understand their roadmap and around around prioritization,
Mm,
and really kind of to say, okay, let's see what minimal viable product that we can start to release. So really
yes.
kind of deliver those value quickly. And then
Mm,
also we can also say, okay, if we release something and we think, okay, it's really, it's working, it's good value, but something's changed, something's come in from the business, say, oh, something's changed, then we need to be quick to react on that. So again, how do we react to that. So again, being react iteratively as well, so we can get
Mm.
that back into a sprint and fix those,
Yeah.
depending on the business objectives. So rather than it has to then come through a project and then having to wait a long time, and then your users just gets frustrated because nothing's getting done. So again, it's
Yeah.
for me, it's about how we, have those, that when I mentioned the engagement piece on that slide, business
Yeah.
stakeholders and exec sponsor. You need to have a
Yeah.
really good relationship and that alignment. So, if I'm having conversations with the exec sponsor, I need to make sure I'm having that understanding of what that alignment looks like from a digital strategy or the university's objectives. So again, having that line of sight that
Yeah.
we're, working on the right things at the right time, and then also how do we maximize those benefits?
Sure. And I think that there's a lot that we can unpack there around, our customer excellence group works with customers all the time around that piece of it. From a training and ServiceNow University perspective, we talked about process user training. A big portion of that is the change enablement piece and the communications around the value of the products and why it's making a difference to an individual or a team or an entire department. That can get lost. And so oftentimes we're actually already working with customers that have had the product, but they're maybe not using it the way it was, intended.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes we're in there actually re-educating people on the art of the possible on ServiceNow. So yeah, for folks that, if that resonates with them or, obviously with yourself, Jerry, we're going to follow up with you on that to make sure that we're giving you the tools that you need in order to make that successful. One other comment before we skip on, though, I think you said that it was John that raised the question. I couldn't find it in the chat about platform owners. John, there is a dedicated learner journey on our ServiceNow University, specifically curated for platform owners. So if you wanted to go take a look on ServiceNow University, you'll actually find there's a learning pathway which helps to map exactly what the platform owner journey looks like. Perhaps if one of my team is on the call, they might be able to find that link and drop it into the webinar chat for John and for everybody else. Okay, wonderful. I'm gonna keep moving because I'm mindful of time. I want to make sure that we're
Yep,
getting
that's
to
fine.
the
Yep.
Q&A at the end. So, we already touched on it really, but the processes and skill development piece. What are the challenges that you face there? What is it that you need from us to help, ensure that your team are up to speed?
Yeah, I mean, I like we've discussed, Martin. I think we understand some of the ongoing challenges really around the platform. It's such a big size platform, and again,
Mm.
it's just really how do we build the right skills, with the developers, with our stakeholders. Again, how do they adopt the platform? They only know what they know, and they don't know what they
Yep.
don't know. But again, it's how can I suppose what I'm asking from ServiceNow is getting that information at the right time when we need it. And
Yeah.
again, I suppose sometimes there is a lot of information that can come our way, and it's just
Mm.
having, I think, working as a customer, working in an everyday work, things do get busy. There are, business activities are ongoing. It's just obviously making sure you have that time carved out, really kind of dedicated to making sure that from a team's perspective, you got time for the team to have personal development. So again, if you are
Yeah.
looking at to, I don't know, leverage some new capability coming into ServiceNow, just make sure that your team, again, have that right access to that the learning resource to
Yeah.
basically really understand, what that capability can do, because when you're having conversations, just give an example, if you have an implementation partner that you are going to bring on, you want to make sure that your team is well aware of what that capability can do. So you can just start to ask those questions, those right questions as well, just to make
Very
sure,
important.
how we can, making sure that we join up the dots. And I've seen many challenges in the past where sometimes that hasn't been done,
Mm.
and miscommunication can happen and project can be delayed. So again, it's just some important some, lessons learned there that I've learned through my journey. Um, and then yeah, I suppose then challenges, investments, decisions that, as I mentioned, really, you've got siloed systems, you've got processes.
Yeah.
I think again, across organization, if you think about how we can be more efficient, sometimes you've got too many systems in place as well. So, trying to
Yeah.
report out on that as well, do reporting and management information so you can
Yeah.
make better informed decisions as an organization. I think you've got to look at your technology stack as well to say, right, how do we ensure that we start to link all that data sets together to really have more of that visibility, that demand and performance, coming into into your departments. Because sometimes if
Yeah.
you don't have that visibility, you just don't have the true reflection. And how do you scale up around resource and capacity of being able to deliver that piece of work?
Yeah. Excellent. I think that roadmap that we saw, your journey with the platform and all of the additional products, really shows that the University of Birmingham is kind of going all in on ServiceNow, and that continued investment is there for you. Is that an easy conversation for you to have now internally around budgeting, or is that as challenging as it was 5, 6 years ago?
I think it's easier now, Martin, than I'll say,
Yeah.
if you were give an example, I've worked in an organization where we're just using IT service management and trying to expand out might be
Mm.
quite a challenging conversation. But I think, as I mentioned on that, one of my other slides, I think if you start small, start
Mm.
to show the value to other areas of what ServiceNow, or in terms of that platform could do,
Yeah.
then you're able to influence. For me, it's how you influence the organization and to be able to see that value. And for me, is if you can't show that value, you
Yeah.
can't influence people. They might not buy into that idea. No, so no matter how much, I always kind of got this analogy. I'm trying to push this big ball up the hill, but is it just me pushing it, or do I need that support?
Yeah.
Your main stakeholders, your senior leadership team, and everyone to be committed to be able to help. You know, again, I'm a big advocate for the service now within the organization. So again, I'm
Yeah.
I'm having to go out and speak to stakeholders to advocate for the platform, and show them again, what's after possible.
Yeah. Well, I know
Um,
that I'm going to bring up your next slide actually for you because that's talking about the impact that you've seen, the success factor, if you like,
mhm.
which
Yeah.
obviously helps in those types of conversations, doesn't it? So let's if you want to maybe just speak to this slide
Yeah,
for us,
sure.
that'd be
And
great. Thank
again, these scores that you can see, CSAT scores and the SLA success, these are more from our IT service management reporting. So again, I think it's really important to have a tool, a platform to be able to have, that you be able to be enabled to capture feedback, and really kind of, having those capabilities to be able to measure ourselves, because we want to be able to ask that question is, how well are we doing as a department, and how are we offering a really good service? So
Mm.
one of the mechanisms, let's say customer survey, we send out a customer survey, obviously when a ticket gets resolved or gets completed, and at least then that cap gives us a overview of, right, how well we're doing. If there's any negative feedback that we get, we can act on that. We can add that to our continuous service improvement. So we're always continuously learning and improving our service. And without
Yeah.
having those capability there, we just wouldn't know how we're operating. And a good example story here around our virtual agent. As you can see that we got 86% CSAT.
Mm.
We launched our virtual agent back in August 2024 last year. And we were doing basically live chats, so the live interactions. And because obviously the virtual agent was put in, that automates those, the questions that you wouldn't normally get is, how do I reset my password, or I've got a question, these those repeatable questions, and the virtual agent can handle that rather than someone manually has a live chat having to answer that. And we saw, obviously, comparing that from obviously August 2024, we reduced those interactions. So it was 1,991 interactions in September 2023 compared to 868 live interactions in September 2024. So,
Yeah.
we can definitely see on our reporting that by putting in a capability like the virtual agent has really shown that, and we can, show that people. That's a good success story that we can show people to say we've put this in, this is what it's delivered, and then that's given our service desk teams the time to be able to basically focus on more customer or added value activities, like creating more knowledge articles or looking at complex issues.
Yeah,
So
second
hopefully
tier
that explains
satisfaction.
it, gives a big, kind of a big high level overview around, what the measurable impact that we have at University of
Yeah,
Birmingham.
it really does. And I'm going to come back and ask you a question around how AI in learning, is playing a part as well. But in the before we get there, I know that you also wanted to touch on the relevancy of skilling within the university as well. You got specific roles and specific areas of the business
Yeah, I mean, as
organization,
I
I should say.
mentioned, Martin, obviously we've got our, internal developers. I mean, even myself as a product owner, I still need to be skilled. I still need to, access, the ServiceNow University content. I also use the ServiceNow community,
Mm,
because with the ServiceNow platform, obviously you get your obviously 2 yearly upgrades. There's a lot of changes, sometimes changes on the platform, or there's new capability. So as part of obviously when before you do an upgrade or before I go and speak to someone about a capability, just making sure that myself and the team are is skilled up, having access to those right resources, to be able to have that information, to be able to explain to our stakeholders.
mm,
And then also where you mentioned about AI, or what's the AI future like? I mean,
mm.
as we know, the university does use AI in terms of around their teaching and learning. I think for us as a team, we do need to prepare for that. We're at the very beginning of our AI journey. So we just need
Yeah.
to ensure, I think there is content that I'm sure you probably will mention, Martin, that there is, AI learning courses that, again, the team can do. But then also our citizen developers, again, they're very much linked to our team, but they also need
Mm.
to have access to the right content, especially for those specific areas like HR, IT, and any other areas that they need to be aware of.
Yeah, that's a lovely segue. Actually, I'm gonna go straight to the shameless plug for ServiceNow University, if you don't mind, Jerry. For everybody who's on the call here that isn't already engaged with us, Jerry's team is a really great example of lots of products, lots of updates, lots of knowledge that needs to be, shared. Whether that's the technical team or those process or end user audiences, we cater for all of those, and we operate with dedicated consultancy. So we have free consultants dotted around the around the world who are available to engage with customers just to talk around what products they have, what talent strategies they need, what skilling plans they need, and where to go find it. I've seen it in the chat already. Just to be clear, all of our on-demand content is free. Okay, so if you have a ServiceNow University account, you can access our content for free. 100% of our portfolio is available online on demand, and therefore it's free. Okay. The only cost for on-demand learning, if you choose to, is to go and if you want to pay, if you want to get certified, then there's a cost for the exams, but all of the on-demand content is free. And I think what's really great about the ServiceNow University offering is it's built on AI. It's the ServiceNow platform, and it's curated through AI. So if you put time in to talk to or to kind of register your knowledge background, what your skill sets are, where you want to get to, it will help to curate that learning journey for you. And it's a fun environment. We've actually created what we call the playground for learning. We try and keep it light. We try and make it a safe space for people to go and learn and try new things or just explore and find their way. And the good thing is it's gamified, so it actually keeps coming back to you and it keeps nudging you forward to make sure that you're moving on to the next topic. So there is a link, as you can see in the QR code there, which gives you access to the portal. There is tons of free content on there. I'm not going to take up the rest of this call just to take you through that, but just one other slide maybe that just speaks around the importance of training. This is a report that we published for this year. I think we're going to do a new one next year. This was in conjunction with IDC, just talking about specifically why skilling and learning, if you are a ServiceNow customer, makes a difference. So the stats that you're looking at here, these aren't industry stats. These are based on ServiceNow customers that have gone through training and have gone through skills validation process. So you can actually see that, the learning is actually making a difference, not only for individuals, but for our customers and partners as well. Okay. All right. So I'll stop there. There are more QR code links coming for you to grab. And obviously we'll make sure that everyone has access to these slides as well. But one last summary, I think, from you, Jerry, before we hand it back to Haley is, kind of what's next for the University of Birmingham.
Yeah. Thank you, Martin, for this. And I think I'm just reading a few kind of questions in the chat, obviously in the Q&A section. I think Jakub Askin he's asking about, given the number of scope customer applications, what strategy does the university use to address upgrade and regression testing challenges? I mean, one of the things, again, what's next for us is, my second point is we revert customizations to back out of the box. So that is something that we are, we're looking at to do, because obviously we've had the platform for such a long time, and no fault of our own, or the way that we've done our customizations, we've just didn't have a choice back then. But now there are things that are out of the box. We just need to have a look at, okay, can we fix forward? Can we revert these things to back out of the box? And again, looking at what capabilities do we need to be able to enable that? So there are challenges around our in terms of upgrade and regression, but I think once you put a plan together, that regression plan and that communication with your stakeholders, as long as you've got that, and then you give the right amount of time for people to do the testing, it's fine. As long as you do the communication bit and working together, because if you don't do that, then when it comes to the upgrade and things aren't working, you are going to be firefighting for a few weeks. But what's next for us? Obviously, strategic alignment is really kind of focusing around, I want to kind of get the university more enterprise service management. So get more of our professional service areas on ServiceNow, and what can we do to enable that? So obviously expanding our platform use. We also want to be able to redesign our user experience. So as you probably saw on our journey side, we've got so many different services. We've got different portals. We've probably got about 9 different customer portals there. But we want to look how we can start leveraging more of the employee center. So again, bringing that one-stop shop. So one unified experience for our staff users to come and get a service from. So yeah, expanding more on our citizen development enablement. So again, as I mentioned, we've got HR and IT, but we want to look how can we start to expand that to more of the different areas to be able to adopt and really kind of looking after their own specialism areas around their own processes. And again, kind of segues again to the last point, that cross-institutional collaboration is how do we effectively best work together to understand our workflows and our different processes, so we're not working in a siloed way of working.
As we wrap up today's session, I do want to leave you with a few resources. I know everyone's having issues with the workforce skills forecast, so if you just want to email me, I left it in the chat. I'll go ahead and send you a downloadable version. We'll look into this issue. Also, right there, the QR code and the link has been shared in the chat as well to get started with ServiceNow, understand how we can help build your future ready skills and prepare your organization for evolving talent needs. Also, attend a World Forum in a city near you. It's a great opportunity to learn from experts and see how AI can drive real business transformation. And I also plugged in a success story from Okta just to understand how they boosted customer satisfaction from 60% to 97%. If you want to skip over to the World Forum one, the London one, the next one. We have a bunch of World Forums in different locations, but the next one is going to be in London. And just a quick plug, Jerry will be there live. If you want to see him in person and hear from him, he'll be joining the keynote. You don't want to miss his session. It's going to be cooking up a career tech, Jerry Wong's journey with ServiceNow University. So if you want to go ahead and scan that QR code and join us in London.
I'll be there too. In fact, ServiceNow University has a particularly large enclosure on the expo floor for you to come and speak to us around anything to do with skills or talent strategies for your organizations. We will be representing ServiceNow University. I know we skipped through this one, but these are the other events. We've already had Sydney and Chicago, but you can see there are other events coming. ServiceNow University will be represented at each and every one of those.
I also
All
shared
right.
all these links in the chat as well.
Okay, so we're wrapping it there, I think, folks. We're kind of pretty much on time. As we mentioned, there's a lot of questions, which is really great. We will follow up with you all. We want to encourage a community kind of feel for these webinars. We want to make sure that we have more of them. So if you like what you saw today, do please give us the feedback. We want to make sure that we're engaging with you. And if you would like to take part in a future session, please do let us know. We're absolutely committed to highlighting best practices, or trying to highlight any challenges or common challenges that you all have. One question that I do like to ask everybody is, what else can we do from a learning and skilling perspective to better support you? We realize that we're on a journey here too. There's a huge portfolio, there's new products all the time, there's new services all the time. How do we make sure that the right people in your organizations are getting the correct information to maximize their capabilities? So this is a two-way relationship. We don't want these sessions to be just a broadcast. We want to try and capture as much input and feedback from you all as well. So do please be sure to join us on future events and share your thoughts and comments with us as we go through these series. Fantastic. Jerry, that was an amazing session. I really appreciate the time and the thought that went into this. There was a lot of content in there that was relevant, I think, to all organizations, not just higher education or academia specifically. There's a real range of different use cases there on the product side, which I thought was excellent. So really great to have somebody with such strong background and experience with the whole suite of the platform. So thank you so much for today. Look for the next session, and have a good rest of your day.